So, does the type of bike you ride influence how you ride? I'd really welcome your thoughts. Hello there, welcome. So, the type of bike that you ride, does it influence the style or the way that you ride? So for regular viewers of the channel and the eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll see that my screen and fairing have disappeared. Because today I'm riding a naked or super naked Kawasaki Z900 Performance. And it got me thinking and reflecting on my riding over the years. So I started out like most people on small bikes. So my first big bike was a Yamaha XJ600 back in about 1989, 1990. And then I very quickly went on to large tourers. And I've had a variety of bikes over the years. I've had a CBR 600F, which is obviously a smaller bike. Had a VTR 1000 Firestorm back in the day. But predominantly, I've been on quite large BMW tourers, and that's what I've been riding for a number of years. Now, about 3 to 4 years ago, maybe a little bit more now, I started getting a bit of an inkling in I fancy something different. And I thought, I fancy a naked bike. I fancy something that's fun. And it's interesting because one of my viewers recently said to one of my videos, doesn't seem like you get any fun out of your motorcycling. You know, it's all very safety this and safety that. And we're always talking about the worst case scenario. Well, I think it's important to keep yourself safe on a bike, but you know, on reflection, maybe he had a bit of a point. Perhaps there was an element of truth in that. Having over the years ridden the old naked bike, like a 675 Street Triple, Ducati Monster, it never really quite did it for me. Couldn't quite get what I thought was needed. Got back on the comfy BMW and thought, no, I don't need anything else. But that interest, that little spark, sort of still didn't go away. And for a number of years I've been looking at Z900s, but I've never ever got on one. And when I've had a go on an old Z1000, and I've ridden MT-07, so I've ridden a number of bikes without going into all of them. But I think to actually have something as a toy like that, it's got to excite you, it's got to interest you, definitely. So at the weekend I did manage to get a test ride, very kindly from Laguna Motorcycles in Ashford, of their demonstrator Z900 Performance. And I immediately had a smile on my face. I thought, you know what, this is really quite nice. Very different, of course, to my BMWs, but there was something about it that I really quite liked. And so I decided to buy it. Now, I recall when I used to ride smaller bikes in the past, something in you sometimes makes you ride a little bit differently to that very sort of staid and maybe professional, floaty, graceful way that perhaps you ride on the old BMW Tourers. And I remember when BMW had lent me things like little F800s that were very light and flickable, there was always something in there that made you sort of rev it a little bit, maybe hang on to the gears a bit longer, maybe just get a little bit excitable about things. And this bike does the same. But here's the thing, does it do it for you? Do you find that depending on what you ride, your style completely changes? Because I've found with this, my style of riding certainly does change. But one thing that's important to consider in all of this, and I've got to say it, haven't I? You've still got to follow the same sort of rules. You've still got to follow being safe. You can't do things, or you shouldn't maybe do things, that are going to put you at risk. Now I appreciate that risk is something that's always going to be present when riding a motorcycle. I'd always like to hope that we keep that risk to a minimum. Main reason being, of course, that why do we want to get injured or worse? And we want to carry on riding motorcycles for quite a few years to come. So I think that's important. But does that mean we can't have fun? Well, no. Hopefully it doesn't. We should still have fun. And as I said to my wife, Just because I'm riding a bike like this now and it's putting a big grin on my face doesn't mean I'm going to do things that are inherently dangerous, like ridiculous overtaking across junctions and trying to scrape my knee going around a blind bend just because the bike's fun and capable of it. Some of those age-old sensible things that we should be learning and should be avoiding to keep ourselves safe, that's still going to be in the mix. But I think it is very easy sometimes to get tempted and give it a good old wristful and fly around and enjoy the thrill. And at the end of the day, most of us do get a bit of a thrill, a bit of excitement, a bit of enjoyment out of riding a motorcycle. It's not all commuting, it's not all training, and I realised that my life was spent recently, over the last couple of years, just training really, and I thought it's time to have a little bit of fun back in biking. I've still got to remember that all the things I profess and teach, it doesn't change because I'm on a different bike. I still can't go tearing across junctions, I still can't go tearing into bends that I can't see around, and I still can't overtake across junctions or pull stupid overtakes, because whether it's a small light flickable bike or whether it's my BMW Tourer, if it goes wrong the consequences are the same and the risks are the same. It's just knowing the time and the place. And to be honest, when I see an empty road ahead of me with no junctions, no driveways, yeah, I do feel obliged to give this a little bit more of a go really. It's quite nice. It's like now, you know, I can hear that engine, 2,500 revs, and it's begging me to open it up. National speed limit. And on the BMW I probably gracefully pull away, but on this I want to just go. But I can see lots of crap on the road here, and I think we need to just be a little bit careful. Lots of grain there or something, that'd be slippery. Now I'm going to give it some fun. But as we come into the bend, yes, I can get round that bend faster. The bike will do that all day long and I'm okay to do that, but I've still got that built-in safety measure that says if you can't see around that corner, you've got to be able to stop in the distance so you can see to be clear. But what a lovely little bit of kit this is. It's nice to bring a bit more fun to it. And the other question is, how many of you have sold a bike because you realise it brings the worst out in you and not the best, and you think if I carry on like this it's not going to end well? But I'd be interested in your thoughts. What bikes have you had? What bikes made you be a little bit naughty maybe? What bikes brought the worst out in you? And what bike did you get to calm you down, or maybe just bring you back to where you should be? So until next time, ride safe and take care.